Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and I cannot tell you how excited I am about today's video. This is the biggest project that I've ever worked on my channel. It's the most important project that I've ever worked on. It's a project that I think is going to endure for months, years, and hopefully decades to come. I don't know. I am just a messenger. I'm just a conduit of information. But I want to show you a quick glimpse of something, and just to get you hooked, and then we'll watch the pre-roll, and then I will get you started. But this is a video that you guys are going to want to refer back to because it's very important as I explain what this project is, how it began, and what my true goals are, and how I'd like to hopefully contribute to the education and entertainment of the hobby, which is always my goal. So here's a quick glimpse of a fraction of what we're talking about today. That is what you guys are gonna love. Just a little bit of eye candy for you. Today we're talking about Cajun Cardboard's Michael Jordan Hierarchy. PWCC is a great way to sell your sports cards. If you're looking for a way to support the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel, consider using the promo code CAJUN, all caps, C-A-J-U-N, when you're selling your cards on the PWCC marketplace. Okay, so I want to talk you guys through, again, the purpose, what it's for, what it's about, why I did it. I've got a nice PowerPoint presentation breaking it all down. Whenever you bring some new type of literature and or thoughts into the hobby, you kind of open yourself up. We see this all the time with content creators. You open yourself up. I am not the best Jordan collector in the world. I am definitely not the most knowledgeable Jordan collector in the world. I am a minnow that swims amongst whales. And for the last 3 years, I have literally sponged off of some of these OG whale Jordan collectors and learned so much. I wanted to devise a way to help educate would-be Jordan collectors and or new Jordan collectors and or the low-end Jordan collectors that are trying to push their way further into the Michael Jordan card collecting world. I tried to create a tool to help them organize and decipher and all of what goes with that. So without getting to tier 1 yet, and you don't even know what tier 1 is, but you can probably figure it out. I just wanted to give you a little teaser. First, the question is, what is it? What is the Cajun Cardboard Michael Jordan Hierarchy? What is it about? The purpose is, and this is sort of like a mission statement, I wanted to create an illustration of a segment of the Michael Jordan card world pre-2000, okay? In a nutshell, in its simplest form, that is the mission statement. It is an illustration of a segment of the Michael Jordan world, card collecting world pre-2000. Why did I create it? To provide new and aspiring Jordan collectors with a helpful visual guide to grow and organize their Jordan card collection, okay? I want to be very clear. As always on my channel, I am extremely transparent. We'll always talk through the cards I do and don't own. I've said this 100 times on my channel. It can't be a pump and dump if you never dump, right? So I am going to pump the hell out of Michael Jordan cards. The ones I own and the ones I don't own. The ones I own in PSA 7 and the ones I own in PSA 10. The ones I don't own in those same grades. I'm going to pump the hell out of Michael Jordan cards because I think they're fantastic. I think they're great. I don't think there's any shame in talking about the stuff that you do love in the hobby, but there is no dump coming behind it. So I'm not making this video to sell my cards for more money. God help me, because my cards are worth significantly less than when I bought them. Most of the cards that we're going to talk about in this hierarchy. It is important to note, this is not my cards, right? I don't own all of the cards in this. That doesn't really suit the purpose, right? This is not about me and my collection. This is about creating a useful tool tool to help new collectors in the hobby really sort of get a visual grasp of what's going on in the Michael Jordan world. This is not for the OGs. I want to stress this and stare into the camera 100 times. I have so many friends who know so much more about Michael Jordan cards, they almost know too much. It's not just impressive, it's borderline frightening how much some of the Jordan collectors know about the history of Michael Jordan cards. And I don't just mean like the 100 best or the 348 best. What? Yes, 348. We're going to talk about 348 cards in the Michael. I am extremely embarrassed to have to make this little insertion into this super important foundational video, but repeatedly throughout this video, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the Cajun water or some kind of voodoo down here in South Louisiana, I don't know what was wrong with me. I know how to do math. There are 27 cards per picture, and there are 12 pictures in this Michael Jordan Hierarchy project. So you're talking about 324. Repeatedly throughout this video, I'm going to say 29, which is not even divisible by 3, and 348. There are actually 324 cards included in the project, and each one of these tiered pictures contains 27 cards. So carry on. 8 cards in the Michael Jordan Hierarchy. This is a big time project that is going to take weeks and months to get through. I am going to have guests on the channel. We're going to talk about each tier. I'm going to explain what a tier is. We're going to talk about every single card in the 348 card hierarchy. We're even going to talk about probably 100 cards that are not in the 348 card hierarchy that I've created. So there's a whole lot to this project. This is just one video where I wanted to describe to you guys and explain to you guys how I arrived at this mission that I decided to go on, this journey, and I wanted to be very clear about the particulars. This is not for those incredibly high-end Jordan collectors that have been doing this forever. And the reason it's not is because those people who I love to death are going to get lost in the minutia, and they're going to argue about this card's ranked here, this should be here. That's not necessarily what this is about. In fact, it's not what this is about. This is to provide a little visual eye candy for everybody in the hobby to check out. Even if you don't collect Jordan cards, a lot of this, Jordan's career spanned the entire 90s decade. So almost. So a lot of it's going to overlap with Kobe collectors. Kobe collectors are going to be able to use this, right? Shaquille O'Neal collectors are going to be able to use this. Ray Allen collectors, even some Tim Duncan collectors and some Dirk collectors, even some people at the tail end of the 90s, right? Some Grant Hill collectors, Penny Hardaway collectors. So hopefully this is a tool that other people can use. And even if you don't collect Jordan cards, maybe this is just going to be enjoyable to watch. But I wanted to lay the foundation and be very clear. This is not me telling anyone out there what cards to buy, in what order, or how to collect Michael Jordan cards. This is just me trying to provide a nice little graphical illustration for newer collectors to use in their Michael Jordan card collecting experience. Okay, so that being said, the next thing is important factors to consider, and this is where I CYA, right? And in my business, that means cover your ass. This is where I cover my ass, and I sort of explain my way out of this. Number one, you cannot forget this. Please understand, this list is illustrative, not exhaustive. It is 348 cards deep. It is 4 different tiers. There is tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. You will see tier 1 today. We'll talk very briefly through it. We're going to talk in great detail with some other collectors through tier 1 on future videos. Today's video purpose is just to lay the foundation for what I'm doing here and explain how this thing is put together and structured and what the rules and the criteria were. There are 12 thumbnails, right? So 12 thumbnails, 29 cards each. Even in Louisiana, that's Cajun math, 348 cards. That's a lot of content. That's a lot of talking. That's a lot of discussing. That's a lot of arguing. That's a lot of checking off your list of do you have it or do you don't have it. It's going to be great content. It's going to be great conversation. It's going to lead to wild stories about how people picked up certain cards and which cards should rank where and in which tier, and we're going to talk a lot more about that on future videos to come. This is going to span not weeks, but quite likely months, right? Number 2, this is my personal opinion, period. And there it is. That's how I cover my ass. This is my personal opinion. I welcome everybody's opinion in the comments. If I got something right, tell me I got it right. If I got it wrong, tell me I got it wrong. If I made a mistake, God, please help me, because we're going to get to a little bit more about that in the upcoming. But just keep the comments classy. That's all I ask. I try to keep my channel relatively classy. Sometimes I straddle the line, but relatively classy. So please keep your comments classy. I am doing my best. And remember, I'm just a conduit. I'm just a messenger. It is too much information to master. And so I am trying to help the new people kind of move along in the Michael Jordan collecting card world, and hopefully this will help. Demand, scarcity, value, aesthetics. Those are the 4 criteria when it came to assigning these Michael Jordan cards to a specific tier based on demand, scarcity, value, and aesthetics. Now, how do you weigh that? You don't. That's why I said in the line above, it is my personal opinion. Demand is a humongous factor. Okay, so please keep that in mind. You may see a card in tier 1, and you will, that is not rare. You may see a card in tier 4 that is incredibly rare, but it's ugly, it's not that valuable, and it's, it is scarce, but there's no demand because people don't even know it exists. So trying to weigh these 4 factors and criteria was the most difficult part of putting this 12 picture 4-tier project together. It is impossible, and it is always, it's going to be in the eye of the beholder. It's going to be very subjective, and this is why it's called Cajun Cardboard's Michael Jordan Hierarchy, not the Michael Jordan Hierarchy, right? These are not facts. These are opinions weighing those 4 criteria. Aesthetics is always going to be subjective, and so there you go, right there. That's how ass is covered. Primarily, this is for newer MJ collectors, not OGs. We've talked through that. Please do not get lost in the details. We talked through that. This is not about a hyper focus on that should be tier 4, not tier 3, or you left this card off of tier 4. You know what? Great. I left off the 349th most important card. That's kind of like arguing which team should have made the NCAA tournament now that there's like 68 teams or whatever. So you're arguing over team number 69. I'm not going to argue over card number 349. Feel free to include in the comments if I missed a card that clearly belongs in one of the upper tiers. If I did, it wasn't for a lack of trying. There is no guideline, there is no list, there is no pool out there to pick these 348 cards from. I just dove into sales history and did my absolute best. Each tier is in no particular order. That's super, super, super important, and I'm going to repeat myself a little bit later. Each tier is in no particular order. So the brief glimpse you got of tier number 1 with 29 cards, those are not ranked 1 through 29, nor will they be ranked. If you want to rank them, rank them. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I just chose those as my top 29 in any particular order. The pictures do not appear in any value order, scarcity order, aesthetics order, or demand order. It's just a picture. I am not infallible, and yes, it is spelled wrong because that's what makes it funny. Infallible means incapable of making mistakes. That is a spelling error, and that is why it's ironic and funny. It is possible I'm missing a card, okay? If I am missing a card, I want input. I want to get this right. Again, it's not if I'm missing a card that belongs in here that doesn't appear anywhere, I want to know that. But if you think that a card in tier 4 belongs in tier 3, comment, but I'm more concerned with, did I make a mistake? You know what I'm saying? So it's a big project. There was a lot to tackle. I tried to tackle most of it myself, although I did get help from 2 absolute monster collectors out there that are Jordan geniuses that I'm going to give credit to in just a second. I ripped all the images off Card Ladder sales history, period. I use Card Ladder for all my data pricing, all that sales, all the analysis, deciding what a card is and isn't worth, deciding what Jordans I should and shouldn't buy and at what price. I use Card Ladder. I trust those guys. I like those guys. I communicate with those guys and gals, Christina, on a regular basis, and they are at the heart of this project, and it would not have been possible if it weren't for Card Ladder. I guess it would have been possible, but it certainly would have taken me, it took 10s of 20s of 30s of 40s of 50s of hours to put this together. Trust me, the picture cropping was not fun, and it was not easy to do, but without Card Ladder, it would have taken hundreds of hours, no doubt, and I'd still be working on the project. I have also created a written key that corresponds to each thumbnail to help identify the card. So for all of you new collectors out there, you see a card, you like a card, you're not going to see a label on it. I didn't put graded labels on these pictures for a very good reason. I didn't want grades to just kind of distract from the cards themselves, because it's the cards themselves that we're talking about. When a card is placed in a tier, it's not a PSA 10 that's placed in the tier, or a PSA Authentic or BGS 8.5. It's the card itself, right? We're talking about the demand, scarcity, value, and aesthetics of a particular card, not a particular grade. So for that reason, you're not going to see any graded labels on any of these cards. And I've created a written key in case those of you who haven't been collecting Jordans for as long as me, or some of these other folks that have been doing this for even decades, multiple decades, you'll be able to reference that, and I'll post that on the site. I'll figure out a way to post that on these videos, or send it out or disseminate it in one way or another, so you guys have that information. Because if we're 7 videos into this and you're like, damn, I like that card in tier 4, 3rd row, 6th from the left, it's the 11th thumbnail, what the hell is it? You want to know. You want to go look for that card on eBay. You want to go buy it. You want to add it to your collection. Like, damn, that card looks good. What the hell is it? I've got the answer for you. I'm going to do all that work for you, and I will share that with everybody. But today is not the day for that. I hope that this will provide ongoing content for months and years to come. I think it will. I think, it's a leap of faith. I'm opening myself up for a lot of critique and a lot of criticism. I just want to be very transparent and clear from the beginning. I'm not putting this out there like I know everything about Jordan cards. I am the furthest thing from that, and I've never taken that position. I certainly don't think I'll ever get to the mountaintop and own the 348 cards in this picture. Something drastically odd and beneficial would have to happen to me financially to even sniff all 348 of these cards. So I don't want this to sound like teacher and student. This is just me putting something out there that I think I would have loved to have had access to in the year 2020 when I started to collect Jordan inserts and parallels. I hope that new MJ collectors can use it as visual guide. That goes without saying, and that's really the purpose of this. I'm not telling you what to collect or buy. Again, this is not go buy tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm not telling you that if a card is not on this 348 card list, you don't want it. Obviously, and we're going to get to the rules of what cards were included in just a second. That's definitely not my intention. And I used tiers specifically to avoid the hyper focus of, arguing about numerical rankings. If I had put out, here are the top 200 Michael Jordan cards, just like the PWCC list that came out, just like other lists in the past, people would have bitched and complained and said, no, it's not 37, it's 26. It's not, how can you rank this card here and that card there? For the most part, placing these in pools and tiers, well, we're calling them tiers, placing them in specific numerical tiers, one being the top, and then 2, then 3, then 4 in descending numerical order like that, especially the size of tier 4. When you guys see that, hopefully we'll avoid some of that hyper focus that can distract from the whole purpose of me creating this project. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, I received input from 2 OG GOATs, right? Josh Dawson and he's been a guest on the show before. He is at Northeast Sports Cards. If you're not following Josh on Instagram, you're missing an opportunity to learn from one of the best collectors in the world. And then also Frankie Rodriguez at Frankie3500, same thing. Go find him on Instagram. Go follow both of those guys. I collect in a manner, albeit on a very much lower level, but in a very similar way to Josh Dawson. So my approach to collecting is very similar to Josh's. I don't choose quality over quantity. I just don't choose. I want quality and quantity. And I'm also a bit of a grade snob like Josh is. So we have a lot in common. And so he knows, he has more Jordan knowledge in his pinky finger than I have in my entire body. And Frankie Rodriguez, the same thing. One of the best to do it, local card shop owner, dealer, and just a long time fixture in the hobby that a lot of people know and trust. Okay, what is the next one? Okay, the rules. And let me just kind of focus here. So I couldn't use all Jordan cards. There are certain types of cards that had to be eliminated from this analysis. Otherwise, it would have been just absolutely devastatingly overwhelming. Okay, and there's a couple of rules that I've had to lay out here to just to narrow the focus to 348 cards. Like, it could have been absolutely preposterously overwhelming and gotten into the thousands of cards because there's that many Jordan cards. If you want to know all the Jordan cards, you can go on the PSA set registry and look at the Jordan master list, and there they are. You can have them, right? But there are some rules about what cards needed to be excluded for me to complete this project, and to complete it in a way where I have at least a cursory knowledge of some of the cards. And for those of you who watch my channel, you know I don't collect memorabilia, and I don't collect autographs, and I don't collect retro Jordan cards. And so those cards are going to be absent from this list. And so let's get into the rules. I'm going to share it with you right now. And if anybody doesn't have any, doesn't understand any of these rules, or if I made a mistake, here's the other thing. I might have accidentally included a card that breaks the rules. I might have accidentally missed a card that I thought was subject to the rules that wasn't. So let's look at the rules. Here we go. Number one, no base cards other than rookie cards and pre-rookie cards, right? For purposes of this video, don't go get the torches and the pitchfork and come try to kill me. We're going to treat the 86 Fleer number 57 as the rookie card. Therefore, there are no base cards prior to the 1986 Fleer unless they are pre-rookie cards. Does that make sense? Like, I'm considering this 84 star 101 a pre-rookie card, base card, that will be included in this project. But we are not going to include all of the other base star cards and the subset star cards, right? Because otherwise, you know, again, if you look at the top 348 Jordan cards, you're going to have all 24 of his star cards in there, probably in the top 348. So you are only going to see one star card in this project, and it is going to be the number 101. So again, my apologies to the star collectors out there. It is not my intention to disparage star cards. Also, rule number 2, no autograph cards. And I know that is a huge contingency in the hobby, and it's an amazing collection of hobbyists out there who collect only autograph cards, and specifically only Jordan autograph cards. I plead ignorance when it comes to those. You will not see any autograph cards in this MJ card hierarchy, nor will you see any memorabilia cards. No patches, no shoes, no floors, etc. So stay with me on the rules. No post-2000 cards. We cut it off at 1999. There will be Bulls jersey post-1998 cards from 1999 that appear in here because I felt it apropos and appropriate to put in any 90s Jordan Bulls uniform cards. But you will not see any cards in the year 2000 or after. No Wizards cards, no retro cards, none of that. 1999 only, dating back to 1986, and then again with the caveat that only certain cards pre-1986 count. No foreign cards, no oddball cards. Apologies to all the great foreign collectors out there. I'm sticking with domestic USA cards. You're not going to see the Yugoslavian cards. You're not going to see, well, actually, you might see one sticker. I'm trying to remember, but for the most part, we're not going to pull in all of those incredibly scarce, rare foreign cards. We're going to kind of stick to the basics because this is kind of a general guide, again, for newer collectors. Members only, first day issue, and plus cards. And I say plus like I'm thinking of Scoring Kings plus as a parallel to the Scoring Kings. Those are treated as one and the same, okay? So you're not going to see, a Stadium Club Beam Team and a Stadium Club Beam Team members only. You're not going to see them both. I'm only going to give you a depiction of one of the cards, right? You're not going to see a members only Jordan dunking on Ewing's back and a first day issue Jordan dunking on Ewing's back, because those are all treated as one and the same. The Scoring Kings Plus, you're just getting one of them, okay? With and without coating are treated as one and the same. And I know this splits the hobby right down the middle because I did a YouTube poll addressing this question: is do you peel the coating off or do you leave the coating on? And of course it was split right down the middle, which is hilarious with that many people that weighed in. But with and without coating is treated as the same. So if you happen to see a card that's shown with coating, I'm not saying with coating belongs and without coating doesn't, and you're not going to see one of each. They're treated as the same card because they are the same card. One of them has coating and one of them doesn't. It's not a different card. Atomic and regular refractors treated as one and the same. So you're not going to see, a Bowman's Best Atomic and a Bowman's Best regular refractor. You're just going to see one or the other, and there's no rhyme or reason. Some of them you'll see an Atomic refractor. Some of them you'll see the regular refractor, but for none of them, unless I made a mistake, and please comment below if I did, or comment in whatever videos you see if I did make a mistake, you shouldn't see duplicative, atomic, and regular. You shouldn't see that. No MJ exclusive sets. I'm thinking of those sets that Upper Deck released where, you know, it was 10 cards or 40 cards and every card was Michael Jordan and they might have been serial numbered, stuff like that. We're not doing any MJ exclusive sets, right? And so even if star cards were included, we would take out the Michael Jordan subset, 10 card subset. We're not talking about Michael Jordan exclusive sets. We're talking about products where you open packs and hope to hit a Michael Jordan card, not sets that you can purchase where you know you're getting every Michael Jordan card. No one-of-one masterpieces. I eliminated them because they're Sasquatch. They're myths. They don't exist. And the people that own them also own islands and, airplanes and planets and things like that. So no one-of-one masterpieces. And I actually am going to do a video on what those Michael Jordan one-of-one masterpieces from the 90s are. And we're going to talk through it, try to figure out who owns them. But I'm going to need a lot of help from some other high-end collectors out there because I don't know any of that right now. But for purposes of this list, I don't want you to think, oh, you left out the Flair Showcase one-of-one masterpiece, blah, blah, blah. Not including one-of-ones, okay? So one-of-ones are out. We're just talking about real cards that actually exist that people can actually see, not cards that are hidden in some vault in a dungeon somewhere. And then lastly, one for all, okay? This is kind of a general rule that's going to apply to make sure we're all on the same page. Topps Gold, 1992, for example. All of those Topps Golds, I showed one Topps Gold card, right? I didn't want to spend... I didn't want to use up so much space to show all of the different 1992 Topps Gold cards. Power boosters, there's a bunch of them. I just showed you one power booster, the one that I thought was the most reflective of all of them and the most in demand of all of them. Same thing with Topps and Topps Chrome dupe inserts. Some inserts have a Topps and a Topps Chrome, and it's the same insert, but the background's a little bit different. I chose one, and I didn't choose one or the other with any thought to it. I just chose one, okay? Upper Deck holograms. You know, there's the AW1, AW4, AW9, different years. I chose one hologram. I think I chose the AW1 MVP hologram, to be honest with you. So one hologram for all of those 91, 92 Upper Deck holograms. 3D Wrapper Redemption, same deal. I posted one of them on here. Just know they exist, the 3D Wrapper Redemption. We'll talk about the others when we get to those tiers and when I have guests on the show that know a lot more about those. But for purposes of just the picture, we didn't include any of those. Okay, so the last thing that I want to reiterate, and it's on your screen big and bold because I want to make sure that nobody gets confused. These are not in any order. The cards within each tier are not in any order, okay? If you guys want to argue and gals want to argue about this tier 3 card belongs in tier 2, I love it. It was not easy to make those types of decisions. And this is, again, I'm covering my ass. This is my personal opinion. You may know more about both of the cards that I had to choose from. In fact, it's quite likely you know more about those cards if you know enough to argue that a card belongs in tier 3 instead of tier 2 because you're talking about cards in the 60s and 80s and 100s or whatever. So I welcome those comments. That's the type of conversation that I'd like to have about the cards that you're going to see in this project. So, but what we're not going to do is say, well, this card's not far enough at the top of tier 2. There's going to be 2 thumbnails for tier 2. In fact, I'll just give you a kind of a breakdown. So the hierarchy works like this. There is 29 cards in tier 1. There are 58 cards in tier 2. 3 thumbnails, 29 cards, 2 thumbnails, 29 cards each, 58 cards in tier 2. Okay, there are 3 thumbnails of 29 cards in tier 3, and then there are, ready for this, 6 times 29, what is that, 180, 174? 174 cards are in tier 4. And I don't have a tier 5, but if I did, it would be a buttload of cards. So you're talking about 348 cards, 12 different thumbnails. As we move from tier to tier, each tier gets bigger. 29 cards, 58 cards, 87 cards, and then whatever I said, 174 cards. That's how you get to 348. But the cards within each tier are not in any particular order. So just because you see a card in tier 4 on thumbnail number 12 at the very end of the project, that does not mean it's not the best card in tier 4 and worthy of being argued that it should be in tier 3. It doesn't mean that. I did not put them in any order. If I had tried to put these in order, my freaking Cajun brain would have exploded. So that's not part of the deal today. Relax, Okay, well, I need to give myself some advice because I talk really fast and I'm worked up. I'm really excited about this. I don't know if you guys can pick up on this. This is my passion. Collecting Michael Jordan cards, inserts and parallels from the 90s is my passion, period. That's primarily what we're looking at, people. Inserts and parallels from the 90s. If you see a card that's missing, first, do your research. Make sure it's not a base card. Make sure it's not a base subset card. Make sure, it's not an autograph card. It's not a patch card. It's not a foreign or an oddball card. That's why I published those rules, to make sure everybody's on the same page. Just relax. Just enjoy it for what it is, man, which is some really badass pictures that we're going to talk about for months and years to come. Enjoy those picks. Enjoy the conversation back and forth, and don't sweat the details, right? Because I sweat the details for you, but again, there's one big catch-all. It's my opinion, and it's a combination of 4 factors, which is demand, scarcity, value, aesthetics, and there's no exact science, and there's no perfect formula, and I didn't assign a certain percentage to each of those 4 criteria, but I probably erred on the side of demand being worth about twice as much as any of the other criteria, to be honest with you, because this is for the public, and this is for the hobby, and it's not necessarily for me, although I'll tell you right now, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to go put red X's through the cards I do have and I don't have, and I think that'll make for great conversation as well. And once I do finish this up, I will publish some type of pictorial summary of all 12 thumbnails, and you guys can put it together, and then you guys can print it out, and hopefully in a color printer, and then you can use it sort of as a guide. Not that this is the 348 that you need to go collect. You collect however the hell you want, but you can use it and go put red X's or mark off or black out the ones that you have, and that way you know what you don't have, and then it just makes for great conversation within the hobby. So without any further ado, let's just get cranking, man. I'm not going to talk in detail about this. This weekend, I'm going to have the great Josh Dawson on the channel in the next 48 hours, and we're going to kind of talk through Tier 1 together and just get some of his insight into Tier 1 and what those cards mean. I'm going to try to get other guests on the channel that have been doing this for much longer than me and know 10 times more than me, because that's really, like I keep saying, I am a conduit, right? I am a conduit of really intelligent, sharp hobbyists and collectors out there, and I've got a platform that I can provide to them so they can share their insight and their knowledge and their collection with you guys. So we're going to talk with the great Josh Dawson, who was my sidekick extraordinaire on this project. We spent hours and hours last week. He spent hours and hours and hours, just like me, making sure we didn't have any duplicates. And if you see duplicates, damn it, I've tried my best to make sure I didn't duplicate cards, but there's a lot of damn cards in these pictures. So if I made a mistake, comment and let me know. Tier 1 is 29 cards. I'm just going to show you the picture. It's the biggest, the baddest, and the best. And if you're wondering why aren't we starting with Tier 4 and working our way to Tier 1, the answer is because I think Tier 2, 3, and 4 are more important to mortals, to be quite honest with you. Most of us may get a Tier 1 card in our collection. Most collectors will never have a Tier 1 card. Most collectors will enjoy trying to complete Tier 3 or Tier 4, or they'll know more about the cards in those tiers because you see them more often and they're more familiar with them. And so, for that reason, I wanted to start at the top. Normally, when I do my auction recaps, you start with the bottom and you work your way to the top, like Drake said. But we're going to start at the top, work our way down to the bottom, because, I think it's going to be more applicable as we get further down. You're going to see cards. You're going to be like, damn, that's a good looking card. I didn't realize that card even existed. I want to pick up that card. What is it? And I'm going to help you with that. And then where do I find it? And then how much is it worth? And that's where Card Ladder comes in. But I think we want to work our way top down because a lot of people are, when we get to Tier 2 and Tier 3, they're going to be like, that's the one. That's the card I need to get next. I didn't even know it existed. Damn, it's only $84 in a PSA 8. Let me go bid right now. Let me see if I can get that thing. So I think we're going to get a lot of that as we work our way down through this. So, and I just screwed up my panes. Here it is. That's Tier 1 right there, folks, on your screen. So I can kind of talk you through this real quick. Like I said, the purpose of this episode is just to give you an idea of what the tiers look like. This is what Tier 1 looks like, Tier 2, 3, 4, etc. And like I said, there's multiple pictures for the other tiers, starting with Tier 2. There's 2 of them. And then we'll talk through those. But Tier 1's just badass, right? And again, not in any particular order, but in the top left, there's the unmistakable PMG green. 10 were made, 9 exist, 1 was destroyed. There's a long, great story about that, which I'm sure we'll talk about when Josh comes on the channel. The PMG Red is right next to it, which is the pride and joy of my collection. The PMG Red, you're coming back to the types of cards that normal human beings can possess. The green, I think one person owns 3 of them, Nat owns 1 of them. So there's pretty much half of them in the world in the possession of 2 people. The third card on the top row from the left is the Championship PMG, which I'm also lucky to have a copy of. The next one is the 98 PMG, oftentimes referred to as the gold PMG, which I want, but I don't have, but it is attainable, unlike the green PMG, right? There's 4 real original PMGs out there, and they are listed on the top row, left to right, again, in no particular order. The next one is the Molten Metal Fusion Titanium, serial number to 40. Beautiful card. There's also a regular Fusion, serial number to 250. The next 2 cards are the Essential Credentials. One is Essential Credentials Futures, and one is the Essential Credentials Now. Those are numbered to, I believe, 72. And those are numbered to 72 and 9, if I'm not mistaken. The green one that you are looking at on your left is serial number to 9, and then the maroon, pink, and red one that is just to the right of the green one is serial number 272, and that's the Essential Credentials Future. All of the cards in that product, if I'm not mistaken, again, I'm not an expert, I think they all add up to 81, and there's 81 or 82 cards in the set or something like that, or 81 cards in this, maybe it's 80, 82, something like that. So if it's, if you have like card number 40, one of your cards will be numbered to 40, one will be numbered to 41, it'll add up to 81, essentially. Next to that is the Upper Deck Choice from 1998, Star Quest Gold. This has been a really popular card lately. That is also serial numbered to 100. By the way, just on a caveat, 23 of the 29 on Tier 1 are serial numbered cards, serial numbered Jordan cards from the 90s or 80s, but none of them from the 80s are serial numbered, and there's only 2. But 23 of the 29 that you see on your screen are serial numbered. Next to that, in the top right on the first row, again, a copy of a card that I have is the 1997 Finest Die-Cut Gold Embossed Refractor. That card is serial numbered to 74, and a really cool card if you hold it in hand, which I got a nice opportunity to do. The next row, row 2, all the way to the left, the 1998 Fleer Tradition Playmakers Theater. Really popular card recently. We've seen a few of these sell in the last couple of years. That card is serial numbered to 100 as well. A lot of people say the card doesn't look too super spectacular in a picture, but if you hold it in your hand, you're going to be mesmerized. And I have not had the opportunity to hold one in my hand yet, but maybe at the National I can get a look at one. The next one is a card that needs no introduction, the 1986 Fleer, number 57. And again, remember the criteria. We're talking about demand, scarcity, value, and aesthetics. Okay, so demand right here is what vaulted that card into Tier 1. I talked through this with Josh. You can get a PSA 2 and it's only a few $1,000. Why is it in Tier 1? Well, demand, because every single person that collects basketball cards, think about new collectors that come into the hobby. The first card that a new collector in the hobby is going to want, if they collect basketball cards, is a Michael Jordan Fleer rookie card. Whether it's a PSA Authentic or a BGS 4, it doesn't matter. That is the first card. And so for that reason, the demand is so overwhelming that if you may or may not like the aesthetics of it, but it overwhelms the complete and utter lack of scarcity. We know that is not a rare card. But we know it can be valuable in a PSA 10 or a PSA 9. It's a 4-figure card. PSA 8 is even a 4-figure card, I think. Well, PSA 9 is. I'm not sure about PSA 8 right now. But the PSA 10 is obviously, well into the 6 figures. So the demand is what vaults that card into Tier 1. Next to that is the Ultra Stars Gold. Really cool card. Also embossed. That card is not serial numbered, but it is extremely, extremely rare. Next to that, the 4th card from the left in row 2 is the Hoops Slam Bams. There's also the Hoops Bams, but this is the Slam Bams. Slam Bams is serial numbered to only 100. And then next to it is the often talked about and now graded by PSA 1984 star number 101 XRC or extra rookie card. This is the other base card along with the 86 Fleer that's going to appear in tier number 1. And then right next to that, you have 3 in a row. Those are the Star Rubies, right? All 3 of those cards are serial numbered to 50. All 3 of those cards are, I'm sorry, hang on, let me make sure I got that right. I don't want to misquote anything here. I'm pretty sure, because I don't own one of these cards. Yes, they're all from Skybox Premium 1997. You've got the Team Skybox Star Rubies numbered to 50, and then you've got the other 2 Star Rubies. That's card number 29 and card number 23, also numbered to 50. So 50, 50, 50, super rare cards if you think about it. You know, about half as many as there are PMG Reds, and so that's why those cards, you know, fetch huge numbers. And then the last card in row 2, which I also have a copy of, luckily, is the 1997 SPX Grand Finale. This is a die cut card. It is serial numbered to 50. The denominator is serial numbered. The numerator is hand numbered. Just a really cool card from the SPX product in 1997. A lot of these cards feature from 1997. Let me count this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 12, 17 of the 29. More than half of the cards feature from the year 1997. So just something to keep in mind. And again, it's my personal opinion. You know, it's not like 97 means anything special to me. But it just so happens that that was the year that, you know, they really knocked it out of the park with these Jordan cards. On to row 3 at the bottom left. You're talking about the 1997 EX 2001 Jambalaya. Most people who know anything about Jordan cards will recognize that card. You know, Cajun Cardboard's got to have Jambalaya, or Jambalaya, sorry, is probably how they pronounce it. It's a play on words with jam, like jam the basketball, dunk the basketball. But the Jambalaya, whatever you want to call it, right, is in there, and that's die cut. A lot of those are graded with BGS. For the corner, you know, you get a nice bump on the corner grade if you grade with BGS, because it usually gets a 10, not always. And then you're going to have, and this was the part that was difficult, you're going to have 7 Showcase Legacy collections in a row. And this is where some of the OGs, some of the real high-end guys, they may disagree. There's going to be some cards that were left off of Tier 1, you know, that they may argue should supplant some of these legacy collections. Not all, but some. This is just where I put them, right? I own 2 of these 7, so it's not like I own all 7. And again, it's not a pump and up because I ain't selling them ever. It's Cajun Eternity, baby. So we've got row 0, 1, 2, and 3 from 1997, working our way left to right. I own row 0 for 1997, and I own row 0 for 1996. But you've got the 4, 0, 1, 2, and 3 from 1997. For 1996, you only have 0, 1, and 2, and those are the last 3 Showcase Legacy collections from left to right that you see. And then the very last card in the bottom right, a lot of people may not be familiar with, and it looks just like the base card. The damn card looks just like the base card, but it's the 1998 Hoops Starting 5, and it is serial numbered to, are you sitting down for this, 5. So of all the cards on this sheet, it is by far the most scarce. And so scarcity, value, not aesthetics, and not demand, because a lot of people don't even really know it exists, but scarcity and value are what vault that starting 5 as one of the lowest non-masterpiece Jordan cards from the 90s into tier number 1. And there's a lot of fake starting 5s out there, so be damn careful. There's a lot of fake 86 Fleers, a lot of fake starting 5s out there, a lot of fake Showcase Legacy collections. Don't ever, for God's sakes, people, and I had to learn this the hard way. And that's it. All right, I'm gonna close it down real quick, and then just kind of let you guys wind down. I promise you there's so much more content on this coming in the near future. I'm going to bring on good friends of mine. We're going to talk through what they own, what they don't own. But what I was getting at is, please, for God's sakes, don't buy any card on Tier 1 without at least running it by somebody. Get another pair of eyes on it. Let's look at it together, right? And not me, but somebody who's well-versed in the fakes and the dupes and the false serial numbers and the counterfeits. There's so many people out there that are experts on that. Please find them, track them down. Do not spend 6 figures on any of those cards or 5 figures on any of those cards without at least checking with somebody else first. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was just to lay the foundation. I know it was kind of boring. I had to do a PowerPoint presentation to make it look all fluffy and fantastic. I just have a vibe that this video might get watched a hell of a lot over the course of the next decade. Not because I know something nobody else knows, but it just seems like nobody's put anything like this together yet. And it's sort of, I guess it's sort of, foundational, and hopefully it can be a trend-setting way to introduce new people to Michael Jordan card collecting. It's brought me so much joy and so much fun. You can tell how much I enjoy it just the way I talk about it, the fact that I hit record usually like 3 videos a week or talking about Jordan cards. And so clearly I have a passion / addiction to collecting Jordan cards. Money is the only thing that holds me back. Oh well, too bad. Sad face emoji. Everybody's got the same problems, but hopefully this will be a nice tool that people can use for years to come. I want to know what you guys think about the project, generally speaking. Are you excited about it? Did I hit a nerve? Is this going to be a home run? Are any cards in tier 1 that you were expecting to see in tier 1 that you didn't see? And when you see tier 2, it's going to be an issue. We're going to have to talk through some of this stuff. I'm going to bring some smart people on here, and they're going to disagree with me, and they're going to disagree with my choice about what goes in 1 and what goes in 2. But it's going to be fascinating. So just remember, tier 2 is twice as big as tier 1, 58 cards, and you're going to recognize a lot of those cards as well. I didn't realize the breadth of quality Michael Jordan cards until I did this project, and I really put pen to paper and I started cropping images and I started digging through Card Ladder. And when I saw some of the cards that I'm like, I can't believe this is a tier 3 card. Like I can't fit this card. This is one of the best cards in my collection, and it's not a tier 2 or a tier 1 card. There's that many fascinating big-time Jordan cards, and that's with us eliminating everything post-2000. That's with us eliminating autographs. That's with us eliminating the Upper Deck game jerseys. That's with us eliminating all the star cards, right? And you see, that is why I had to pare it down. Otherwise, it would have been so voluminous that it would have overwhelmed and it would have been a distraction. So just please remember, go back, check out the rules, check out the criteria of what cards were and weren't eligible for the project, and that'll probably explain a lot of the cards that people are going to look at this and say, wow, is that not included in there? He doesn't know what he's doing. I know what I'm doing. I just had to kind of finagle the rules and kind of tweak them to make it a more digestible project and more enjoyable content. So thank you guys for watching so much. Hopefully you guys will stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I do want you to remember that I am a partner and affiliate with PWCC. So if you're looking to buy any of the Jordan cards you saw in tier 1, God, please use my affiliate link so daddy can get paid. I'm just kidding. I have an affiliate link. It's in my YouTube channel on my main page. It's either in the body of the description. You can cut and paste that. Save it as your favorite in your browser. Save it in your phone as your favorite. That way, every time you go buy cards on the PWCC marketplace, regardless of how weekly, premier, fixed marketplace, whatever, you buy it under Cajun Cardboard. That's one way that you can support my channel without actually handing money over to me to make my channel better. And then you can also click the button in the top right to use my affiliate link to buy cards on PWCC. Another way is if you sell cards on PWCC, just use the promo code Cajun, right? When you do that, they'll know that I steered you there. You're selling cards under my umbrella. I'll get a little cut out of the PWCC portion. Doesn't affect your net take-home money at all. And at some point, I'm going to do some real cool big-time giveaways to the people that have used my promo code Cajun, all caps CAJUN, when they sell or vault their cards with PWCC. Just trying to steer some people to a company and a vault that I think is crucial and indispensable in the way that I personally collect cards and invest in cards and buy cards and sell cards. So promo code Cajun, CAJUN, all caps. And then also, of course, there's the PayPal link if you want to donate something to the channel. I don't have ads in the middle with naked people in tubs selling Cialis. I don't monetize with YouTube. I don't charge a subscription through Patreon. I want everybody to have access to this type of stuff because this is how you grow the hobby. So if you want to just contribute financially to the channel, one way to do it is to click the PayPal link that's on my YouTube page as well. Just click the button, send over whatever you think is fair. If it's $1 a month, go for it. If it's 23 cents or $23 a month, because that's Michael Jordan's number, go for it. He did wear 45 in New York, so it's just something to consider. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. I'm excited about this project. I don't know if you can tell. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. Peace.